Right, we are at Nova Southeastern University today. We're down with Corey Peacock, my professor, and the guy that helps me as far as, you know, getting ready for the fights and like conditions. So we'll do some testing on that today, and yeah, I'm going to tell you about the benefits that I get from this stuff.
Is it? Check it out. And here we are.
It's the real deal.
We're going to dex Danny, we're going to dex Algeri. We're going to do VO2 max on both of them, and I'm going to do some jump stuff. 192.6. 192.6 divided by 2.2. We're at 87.5 kilos.
We're going to do what's called a DEXA scan, and with the DEXA scan, we're going to machine's going to scan his whole body. We'll be able to get bone mineral content, bone mineral density, as well as lean body mass and fat mass. So this will be a good indicator to see what kind of body composition shape Danny's in. So we're going to put him on this table. You got to lay down on your back, head that way. It's a 7-minute scan. Typically, we don't want them to have any metal, obviously, because it's dense. So your head will come to me a little bit more. Stop right there. Hands to your side. He has to be within the black line so that we get his entire body. So I'm going to move his hand slightly in like that. Vito. His brain must have been scrambled.
Yo, why can't they make a DEXA scan of bed?
You could sleep on that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You don't sleep well anyway.
It put me to sleep.
I mean, everything is just, I'm preparing. Whereas, like, these two hold us accountable. You know what I mean? If these numbers aren't where they need to be, where they were the camp before, whatever the goal was, then, you know, somebody's to blame. Yeah. Whether it's me as a strength coach, whether it's them as the fighter in preparation, nutrition, whatever the case is. You know, it's just objective data.
Things have definitely changed over time, especially in boxing. Boxing has been a little bit of a archaic training system when it came to how fighters prepared. And it's kind of the old world mentality of work harder, work longer, be really tough. You know, MMA's come along and it's grown so fast, and a lot of the training methods from Division I college wrestlers to football players and baseball players and other sports have come into combat sports now. You see some of that bleeding over into boxing, where you see boxers actually working with specific strength coaches, nutrition specialists, other training methods that you wouldn't normally think of when you think of boxing, because most old world guys are like, all right, we go for a run and then we box. That's all we do. We don't lift weights. It makes you too bulky. It makes you inflexible. I think those are old world ideas, and have certainly changed over the years, especially the last 10 or 20 years, I'd say.
Right now, when we actually look at the data, he's within 1% body fat, one way or the other. He's also within 2 pounds, one way or the other, where we're always at this point in camp. So everything's on track and where we need to be.
For me, it's also good, you know, to have the knowledge, to know where I'm at the start of a camp. We come into this bracket now, sort of time and period away from the fight. I get to know exactly where I'm at. So again, it gives me a nice mental reinforcement to go through with the camp training. And yeah, good prep leading up to the fight.
What is that?
I love how it glows. It's my titanium plate. Can you see my tricky pinky? Yeah, you can. My tricky pinky and my titanium plate.
That's freaking nuts. That's freaking nuts.
Where did you get that from?
This was my 10th pro boxing fight. Hit a guy high in the head. Shattered my middle metacarpal.
Head always wins.
Used it for 2 more rounds, and really, like, literally my knuckle was completely gone. It splintered the metacarpal all the way down here. My finger was like about an inch short. Pulled my glove out, and my hand was just a mess. So I had a big surgery there, put a titanium plate, 5 screws.
You are 13.4% fat. So we're 1.5 years later, roughly. I bet your T-score went up because of your hand. You got much more, he's got, his bone mineral density went up.
Anytime Chris and I work with an athlete together, this is one of the first assessments that we're going to utilize. You know what I mean? So with this, we have certain goals, both muscular composition, fat composition, that are going to basically play into the progression of the weight cut as we get closer to the fight.
Do y'all typically do this before, like the beginning of the week, or does it even matter? Like, do y'all like to do it
We like to do it in the beginning of camp, so we have an idea of where the athlete's beginning, and we can kind of assess how the rest of the camp is going to look, depending upon what the athlete's current weight is, what their current body fat percentage is, and then as we get closer, having things like body water and knowing how much fluid they're holding can really help with the weight cut. We can calculate how much water we can pull so they can safely step on the scale and make the weight.
The first guy to really incorporate any kind of science was Evander Holyfield. Is that correct? Yeah. And if you go before Evander Holyfield in boxing, I remember watching Roberto Duran, how he would get fat and then he'd train for fight and get fat and he would drink. And I'm like, these guys are killing their bodies. I think at that time, Sugar Ray Leonard was one of the few that didn't get fat between fights. He stayed in somewhat good shape. He was 13 point something
last
2
time.
years ago. Yeah. So.
And 73.2 kilos had him at what? 160?
What was, I don't know the pounds. What was your pound?
161?
Yeah.
That's good.
Do you have like a goal, like weekly, of like targets? Like, I want to be at this weight, I want to be at this point, like every single week.
Well,
so,
it's more or less just to know that I'm doing it the right way, in the sense that I'm gradually losing the weight. It's not too fast. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. My body, more organs, obviously, with the way that I'm actually decreasing the weight. And it just gives me the knowledge that, you know, every couple of weeks when we do come back and we get another gauge, I get to see where I'm at. And from the previous data that we've obviously got recorded, it gives me that good security, mentally and physically, knowing where I'm at.
I know Danny's saying that, you know, it's good mental preparation. For him, I think it's very easy, because there are going to be times that the standards that Chris has set in terms of nutritional standpoint, goals and things like that, I'm aware of, where Danny is sort of on the outside of that, where he can focus on his training and things like that. So there will be times where I'll ask Danny throughout camp, where's your weight? Run that back and forth between Chris, and we make small adjustments. Eat a larger meal tonight, eat more carbs in the morning, those kind of things. So we make very small adjustments throughout the camp because we do have goals. But for him, I think it's one of those things, and any fighter realistically, to see this data so consistent, is that they're confident in what they're doing. I think every fighter goes through this, you know, even listening to Danny saying, I feel like I'm a little fat today, I feel like I'm a little bloated. Well, we have the data in front of us. Mm-hmm. He's not fatter than he was at any point in the camp, so that's reassurance, that's confidence, that trust the system, do the things that you need to do, and the suggestions that we make nutritionally, and it'll take care of itself.
It's a constant adjustment. The ebb and flow and the flux of what an athlete's going through leading up to a fight throughout a training camp. This data helps kind of solidify those adjustments and why we're making them, and it gives some rationale for the athlete to feel comfortable with what they're being told to do and the adjustments that they're making throughout the entire camp.
Give me a forecast of, you know, if you want to fight or not. Oh
no, I absolutely want to fight. I never didn't want to fight. It's just the business side of the sport is what's been holding me up. But I think it's time for me to return back down to 140. Like you said, I never lost that title in the ring. I was stripped of it when I moved up to fight Manny Pacquiao at 147. So I think that with this kind of work here and with Corey Peacock, it's very much a realistic plan for me to go back down to 140. And man, that's the place to be. Go back and get what's mine.
Time to work out.
This day is a gift. Are you living it to the full, with purpose, passion, pursuing your dreams? Or are you distracted, indifferent, just doing whatever comes along, in a job you don't like, hanging out with people that are pulling you down? That's not redeeming the time, that's wasting the time. Just like you spend money, you are spending your life. You're either investing it or you're wasting it. The first step is you need to set goals, short-term goals and long-term goals. What do you want to accomplish this week? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? Do you have a plan? Are you taking steps to get there? Don't go another 3 years on a job you don't like, doing something that you're not passionate about. Life is flying by. This is your one shot. You don't get a do-over. We can't relive our 20s, relive our 30s. Once this day is over, we can never get it back. If you're going to reach your highest potential, you have to be an on-purpose person. You know where you're going. You're not vague, distracted, waiting to see what happens. No, you're focused. You're making the most of each opportunity.
Not so good, time to stop. I don't want to see this. I'd rather you just grab a hold, step off on your own 2 feet. Be smart, read your body.
Let me put it more practical. Staying on social media hours a day, catching up on the latest gossip, is not redeeming the time. Playing video games hours a day when you could be studying is not redeeming the time. Talking on the phone hours a day to a friend that's not going anywhere, that has no dreams, is not redeeming the time. God has given you a present. It's called today. What are you going to do with it? This is a call to action. Get focused. Get organized. Set your goals. Make your plans. God could have chosen anyone to be here, but He chose you. And the scripture talks about living well-spent lives. When we go to bed at night, we should ask ourselves, did I live a well-spent day? Did I take steps toward my goals? Was I a blessing to someone else? Did I invest my time or did I waste my time? I read where the average person spends over 80 hours a year looking for things they misplaced. I know too many people that are incredibly talented. They have great potential, but they're not disciplined when it comes to how they spend their time. They have good intentions, but they're easily distracted and they end up off course. There are 1,000 good things you can give your time to each day. You have to be disciplined to stay focused on what's best for you. If not, you'll end up chasing the latest trend, trying to keep up with your friend, distracted, entangled in things that are not a part of your destiny.
What do people in the outside world don't understand about just how much like this sport can teach you about life? The fight before that, you knock somebody out.
Yeah.
And in this fight, you get knocked out and stopped. Like, what does that, like, what kind of lesson does that teach you just about life in general?
Just you can never ever be relaxed. You can never ever stop. Everything that you do as far as good progress and manifesting good things towards yourself and your life, you have to keep on believing. You have to keep on moving forward with a good, strong focus. You know, keep your wits about you and just remember that no matter where you are, we're all human. Anything and everything can get taken away from you just like that. So it really keeps you on your toes, keeps you thinking, keeps you alert, and makes you humble. Makes you humble. Every aspect of life, from what happens to me through my career, I bring to my everyday life. Like I'm a humble guy. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. I know who I am, and I believe in myself. But I'm also a humble guy. Do you know what I mean? And that's probably one of the biggest things it's done to me as an individual. Makes you grateful, humble, every aspect of life. Because I just know, you know, what we do on a physical aspect is dangerous. And like I say, it can be life-changing. Like switching on a light switch on and off, you know what I mean? It can be that quick. So for me, it's all about staying positive and focused on the one thing that you are doing correct.